Thank you, John, and Minister Subianto. That was a fantastic speech. Thank you for that. I'm from Pakistan. I work for a think tank called Tabad Lab in Islamabad. We in Pakistan have always admired and maybe almost enviously looked at Indonesia as a big brother, being the largest Muslim majority country on the planet. You just mentioned the other big factor that we've envied, which is, of course, civilian supremacy and the military's voluntary withdrawal from public life and political life.
Thank you very much for your question and your kind words about Indonesia. As you know, we also admire Pakistan. I would like to make this observation. I believe, from my own experience, that extremism, radicalism of any sort will thrive when there is poverty, when there is inequality, when there is injustice, when the common people lose hope, when the poor do not get the same treatment in the courts of law, when they feel abandoned by the powerful. This is fertile ground for radicalism, for extremism.
Thank you, Minister, for those opening remarks, and we will certainly distribute your remarks as soon as we have them finalized. I was lucky enough to read your full text, and there are many other perceptions there that I think could be usefully shared. We might just take one or two questions before we leave now for dinner. I might just ask you the first. You mentioned in your remarks that you respect the sovereign decisions that countries in the region take to protect their strategic interests in the way in which they choose. Recently, there has been a new, very specialized minilateral arrangement made between the United Kingdom, the United States, and Australia to support nuclear propulsion in Australia, and also to share technology in the cyber and AI and quantum realms. Is that a minilateral arrangement that Indonesia can see as supportive of the strategic situation in the Indo-Pacific?
Well, officially, our position is that, of course, Southeast Asia should remain nuclear free. And the fear, of course, among Southeast Asian nations is that this will spark an arms race. This will spark more countries seeking nuclear submarines. And we know that now the technology is there. I think many other countries can very soon have nuclear submarines. I would say Japan, India, and many other countries. So that's the concern. But as I said, the emphasis of every country is to protect their national interest. If they feel threatened, if they feel that they have an existential threat, they will do whatever they can to protect themselves. And this is what I mean, that we understand that and we respect them. And therefore, for us, it makes us even more anxious to maintain dialogue, to maintain relationship, to mediate between these great powers. But as I said, that every country will do what they can to protect their national interest. If they feel threatened, we fully understand what they will do.
Thank you very much. I thought there was one question from here, from Mushar Zaidi. Yes, if you stand, the microphone is right to your right, and we'll close with that question. Go ahead.
Thank you, John, and Minister Subianto. That was a fantastic speech. Thank you for that. I'm from Pakistan. I work for a think tank called the Lab in Islamabad. We in Pakistan have always admired and maybe almost enviously looked at Indonesia as a big brother, being the largest Muslim majority country on the planet. You just mentioned the other big factor that we've envied, which is, of course, civilian supremacy and the military's voluntary withdrawal from public life and political life in the way that you described. And the other thing we've always admired about Indonesia is that we've always felt that the problem of extremism, of course, you've had a difficult challenge with terrorism, but the problem of extremism in your society isn't as profound or as problematic as maybe we've had to deal with and are dealing with currently. Over the last few years, though, as you successfully fought the war on terror, which Pakistan also did, in obviously different contexts with some connections, including Al-Qaeda's influence both in our part of the world and your part of the world, there was an increase in extremism in society more broadly. So I wanted you to maybe talk to us a little bit, not so much about the success of beating down terrorism, which you've successfully done, but the challenge of the coming decade and longer in terms of the pressures on politics and society and the state from within society, the growth of extremism, so that the strength that you have as a Muslim majority nation slowly begins to maybe corrode at some of the other strengths that you have as a society, and then threatens obviously the wider ambitions Indonesia has, both within the country and beyond its borders.
Thank you very much for your question and your kind words about Indonesia. As you know, we also admire Pakistan. I would like to make this observation. I believe, from my own experience, that extremism, radicalism of any sort will thrive when there is poverty, when there is inequality, when there is injustice, when the common people lose hope, when the poor do not get the same treatment in the courts of law, when they feel abandoned by the powerful. This is fertile ground for radicalism, for extremism. When there is justice, when there is real democracy, when there is accountability of leaders, when there is equal treatment in the courts of law, all these factors will make the extremist and radical propagators irrelevant. This is my conviction. So the challenge is, how do we provide these essentials? Social justice, economic justice, clean government, rule of law, equality of law in front of the courts. This is my conviction. And then we can have prosperity. Then we can have peace. This is our experience. This is our experience. We actually are blessed with a lot of wealth, but many of this wealth does not trickle down to the poor, to the masses. But we have done great strides. We have done great strides. But there is always rising expectation. When the poor, through the digital revolution, they see on television, they see the cars, they see the nice buildings, they see air condition, they see all these modern attributes, and they have no access. That, I think, is fertile ground for radicalism. Thank you. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Minister Prabowo, thank you very much for your opening address. I mentioned that the security situations in the Indo-Pacific and the Middle East were codependent. It's excellent that you bring to us the perspective from the Indo-Pacific, and that your relations with your colleagues in this part of the world are indeed so collegial that we can find multilateral solutions for peace and prosperity between the Middle East and the Indo-Pacific region. Thank you very much for joining us, and you've sung for your supper. It's time for you to enjoy it. Thank you very much.